What's up, guys? Welcome back into Take It to the Tips. I am your host, Matt, along with our other host, Jeff. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. It's been a few weeks. We've got a lot to catch up on here.
Oh, absolutely.
How's it,
Absolutely.
how's it been?
It's been good. I got back from Florida last week. Down there, weather was perfect. Thankfully, this time when I came back, like last year, I went to Florida too. And I came back and it was from like 80. Actually, it was freezing. It went from like 55 in Florida, which sucked, to like 25 coming back here. So this time was a little better. It was like 85 the whole time I was there. Come back to like 60, which is a little more tolerable. So that's good. Golf was meh. I didn't play so hot. It was like average to slightly above or below average golf, but I'll take 5 days in a row golfing any day. So
Yeah, so this was a golf trip for you then, right?
yes, it was all about
Right.
golf. We were from like basically over in Sarasota, back over to Orlando, a little north of Orlando. So it was a lot of driving. I was driving around a Prius, so that was cool. Great
Nice.
gas mileage, like 60, 55 to 60 miles per gallon all the time. We were talking
Something about
about
something about that's fitting for me, I think.
it.
I mean, just to see you and three other guys driving around in a Prius is
Yeah,
great.
well, I mean, I always had a negative stereotype of Priuses, but like driving around and getting that gas mileage, we drove a lot and we only filled up once and it only cost 25 bucks to fill up the tank.
Wow.
So if they were better looking cars and they didn't have this like preconceived notion about them, I feel like everybody would have them. I would probably have one, to be honest.
Uh, it's a stereotype that you can't knock.
Yeah, you
so,
can't shake it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What about you? What's been going on?
I actually got out and played 6 holes since I last talked to you. So we are slightly changing the topic. I know we had been advertising that we're going to do low back pain. We're probably going to do that next week. Not probably, we are.
We
We're
are
doing that
doing
next
it.
week. So today we're actually going to talk about what we've learned the past 2 or 3 weeks from golfing a little bit.
Yeah.
We wanted to stay away from something that was way too personal of like, well, golf is fun no matter how bad you're playing. We wanted to stay away from that. And we decided to go more just things that we noticed about our games and things that we want to pass along to other people and have just an open conversation about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So
so that's
prior,
that's what I've been up to.
yeah. Word. So prior to this episode, our last one was speed trading, which I thought was really, we had some really good content in that. So definitely go check that out. Help you correctly incorporate speed training into your game. When to do it, when not to do it, how to do it, how not to do it, stuff like that. So a lot of good content there. Go back and listen to that episode as well as some of the other episodes we've posted recently. We've been away for what, 2 weeks now?
Isn't it 3?
No, I think it was 2. It was last week and the week before. So
Right.
I guess 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, this week we'll dive into what we've learned. Before we get into that, little social media plugs. I haven't been super active on most of them besides Twitter, just because I've been away. But remember, Facebook and YouTube are DM Golf. Twitter's at Doc Marags. IG and TikTok are at Doc Marags Golf. Also, our last episode is up on YouTube if you want to look at our lovely faces. So yeah, you can watch it if you want. How about
I
that?
was not aware that you were
Yeah,
posting
yeah,
that, so
buddy.
it's great.
So go check it out at DM Golf on YouTube.
And then I am at Jeff Kurtz DPT
Yes,
on Twitter. That's the only thing I'm on. I was following you with your content on the Masters. So what were your thoughts on the Masters?
it
Briefly.
was relatively. I mean, the first few days were good. Last day was boring, except for about 2.5 minutes when Hideki just bombed his 4-iron over 15 green, put it in the water, and then Xander made birdie, made it a 2-shot swing there, and he was down by 2, and then he proceeded to dunk his in the water on 16, and it was all over. So pretty anticlimactic. Had about 2.5 minutes of fun.
If you're in Hideki's position, I don't know how you play any sort of risk. Just go like I don't know. I wouldn't play driver off the tee. I wouldn't do anything relatively
You
close
got
to
to have
risky.
some kind of adrenaline going to nuke that 4-iron like that over the green. Like that was a missile. That's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, relatively boring tournament, honestly. But
Good for
what are you
him.
gonna do? I think we lost. I saw a tweet that said, "Did we sell our souls in 2019?" when Tiger won, and we're never going to get any good Masters coverage again. And, I mean, it's possible because like
That's
you
how I
really
feel.
can't beat that.
That's how I feel about an Eagles fan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
So
absolutely.
we really cannot complain much, but
Yeah.
we still are. We still are.
No, I'm back to complaining 100%. Like I used to think about it the first like year or two after. I'm like, yeah, we just won a Super Bowl, but that's gone. Might as well not even have won it. Pissed. But that's
Hashtag
another
fire
topic
Howie.
again. Yeah, fire Howie. Moving on to the show. So like Jeff said, we're going to dive into just some things that kind of we've picked up or we've been thinking about recently as we've been hitting the links a little bit more. So let's start out with you, Jeff. What's your first? We're each going to go for 3. What's your first one?
So a little context. I golfed 36 holes, 2 9s and 1 18. So the 18 that I golfed was with the Country Club Professional, the Golf Pro. So we did is basically a best ball. You would take the best net score and you take the best gross score from each hole. So you figure that the gross score was probably going to come from the Golf Pro. The net score was probably going to come from one of the non-golf pros. So me and 3 other gentlemen or 2 other gentlemen. But so the other 2 rounds I played, the one was 9 holes by myself, just at 7 a.m., just when I could get out. And the other one was with an orthopedic surgeon, not a surgeon, an orthopedic physician that practices nearby that also goes to the country club. I wanted to meet with him so I could talk about how we can kind of help each other out, especially with golfers. So what I found out was that, and I kind of knew this before, I tend to play up or down to my competition or the people that I'm playing with. And this was drastic when I played with the Golf Pro. So I took my time. I shot a 38 on the front 9. We actually used my gross score quite a few times. And this Golf Pro is really good. I mean, he shoots his handicap is a 4. He ended up shooting a 73 on the round. I ended up shooting 38 on the front and a 42 on the back. So I ended up shooting an 84, which was decent for me. That's probably about my average. My average is 86 there. But there was a huge difference when I played with him versus when I played with the players of my level versus when I played by myself. And I'm not sure, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the psychology of why that happens, but I certainly take my time when I golf with better golfers. But why do I play so much better with good golfers and then shoot a 44 or 47 when I play by myself?
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed a similar thing with myself. And I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with obviously your focus. So you are playing with a pro, kind of he's focused. You have to be in the zone. You don't really want to embarrass yourself in front of a pro. Mm-hmm. And then you just have different mindsets when you're playing with your friends or if you're playing with a orthopedic surgeon who you have a little ulterior motives, a little bit. Not like negatively, but you just want to, you're thinking more kind of shop versus like actually playing on the course. So I just don't think probably the focus is there, but obviously you have the game to play pretty well regardless of what you do.
Yeah. But it was so exciting after I golfed so well that I wish I could carry that same motivation when I play independently, and it's just not there.
Yeah, I think about that too. Like I played alone today, actually. I played, and I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can't. Sometimes I play really well by myself, and like I think about that, and I just want to like channel it and hope I can get it again. Other times, today I played like crap. I shot a 41. I only played 9 holes. I shot a 41, but it's only a par 32, so I shot 9 over. I don't know. It's hard. It's just hard to stay in the zone, really. And there's something else that you're going to talk about that I was also going to say, but I'll save that for when you talk about that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes these 4-day tournaments so interesting is that guys have to play and maintain that focus throughout the whole thing. And it's interesting to think about, their one putt, their one missed putt could cost them thousands of dollars. So I guess that's how you maintain that focus. But it's impressive that they can do it. And that's why they get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. I think one thing that I have been trying to do more is bring some type of competition into it. I think that probably gets me going a little bit more. So I'm in a Thursday night league now. I whenever I can, I play for some type of money just so there's something on the line, just to get that competitive spirit in. But yeah, I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you got for your first one then?
So my first one is really how helpful a warm up and a cool down are after golf. And so obviously we're physical therapists. We drill this in. We talked about it. I feel like we've probably talked about this every show, like how important a warm up is and how many people don't do it. But so I played golf 5 days in a row down in Florida. I have a history of like some nothing crazy going on at the shoulders, but I've had documented problems with my shoulders, whether it be mobility, just having some discomfort and pain. And then my back, I fairly often get stiff and just some general low back pain. Again, nothing crazy, but I'll get pain in my low back. Played 5 days in a row, have never done that before. Every day I made a conscious effort to have just a quick warm up, quick cool down. It's nothing crazy, 5 minutes each. Really right on the first tee, using the cart as a prop, using my clubs as a prop just to warm myself up, get the hips going, back, low back, mid back, shoulders, chest, just get everything going, fueled up, get a little swing lube in, you know. And then right after the round, it doesn't have to be lying in the grass on the right next to the green after your 18th hole. Getting back to the hotel, just doing some low back stretches, making sure I was ready for the next day. So it's nothing crazy that you have to do, but I didn't have really any soreness, any pain, any of the days, whether it be right after day one or right after day 5. So putting that concerted effort in to have a warm up and a cool down is really going to help you. And like I said, it's going to add maybe 10 minutes to your day after you play golf, and it's going to help you so much down the road. Obviously this game is a game of longevity and you want to keep that. So adding 10 minutes into your game right afterwards is going to help you out tremendously.
Was that warm up that you did, was that consistent across the 5 days? Did you change it up at all between each day?
I mean, it was mostly the same thing. Just some dynamic stretching. So not like static stuff, just bending over, touching my toes kind of thing, making sure I'm moving, and then have my little weighted trainer just to warm up a little bit, get in the motion, get a good flow. And then afterwards is pretty much the same, just some open books. Gotta love the open books.
Love them.
Yes, absolutely. And then just some internal, external rotation of the hips, little cat camels, just typical stuff. It was all about the same, but it helped a lot. Like I said, no pain, no soreness. It was great.
Did you notice a difference at all in the first tee when you took your first swings and everything following that warm up?
I did. Mostly I just felt good. Like I felt ready. I didn't need a breakfast ball. I didn't use a breakfast ball at any point. So not even just for injury wise, but for game performance wise, if your body's ready to go, then chances are you're not going to need a breakfast ball. You're not going to need these mulligans because your body's ready to take that swing versus just showing up cold, nothing's ready to move. And then you make like a dynamic, explosive swing and you're going to top it. You're going to shank it, something bad versus being kind of geared up, ready to roll, pipe it down the middle. Now it wasn't piped down the middle, but it was findable every time, which is good. Slap it out there, you know?
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Anything else on that? You want to dive into your second one?
I mean, I did a dynamic warm up when I played with the pro. I didn't do one when I played by myself, and I did a medium or a small one when I played with the physician. So I'm right there with you. Just kind of go back to how I play up or down to the competition. I do the same thing with my warm up. I should probably do that every time.
Yep. Like I said, 5-10 minutes. Good to go.
Yeah. So number 2 for me was, if you want to bring your game to that next level and break blank, you've got to be smart and tactical. Again, this goes back to when I played with the golf pro. This was the first time I got to play with somebody like that. I really took the opportunity to pick his brain, and it was really interesting to see how he approached the game. So I heard him give some advice to somebody when he was standing in deep rough, open up the club face. When you get through the grass, the grass is going to grab onto the bottom of the club and close the face as you go through. And it was just interesting to think that he's thinking about everything that's happening at that club face with every shot that he's taking. He talked me through how to read a green a little bit more properly. He looks at it from 3 different angles. That's something that I never really did, and I always have a hard time with reading greens. Um, you know, he played up the wrong hole once when he was slightly off because it was just smarter to do that. If I blow into the different fairway, the first thing you think is I got to get back on the hole I'm playing. It's embarrassing. I've seen plenty of players that play up that wrong hole so that they can get to pin high and play a nice easy chip, to the correct hole. And it's just smarter that way. So you look at the game differently when you play with somebody that's more experienced than you, that's a little bit smarter and more tactical. So I think everybody should go out and try to find players that are better than them. Feel free to pick their brains because you'll learn something new every time you golf with them. And it's again, strokes are big. I feel much better if I shoot an 80 versus an 84. That's only 4 strokes. If you can do something that cheats the game a little bit, that shaves 4 strokes, it's invaluable. There's this one hole that has this huge, it's a 2-tiered green. It's huge. The pin was down on the lower tier and the pro was on the upper tier. And there's just no way, I've never found a way to stop that ball from going past the hole and off the green. This guy putted it completely in the wrong direction. He putted it perpendicular basically to where he should have been putting. So rather than hit it towards the hole, he hit it perpendicular and then let it roll really slowly to the green, and he ended up 2 feet away from the hole. It's just something I've never seen before. So if you can find somebody, I was perplexed. I thought he was screwing around when he aimed towards me to start.
Yo, watch this.
But it was incredible. So golf with somebody that's smarter, learn stuff. I started following golf professionals on Facebook that do really good content, and you learn something.
Yeah.
It's not all a physical thing. It's a lot of it's mental and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is kind of where I've thought about a lot more in the past, especially this season, but last season as well, being more of not a full-time golfer, but playing more consistently, really. I think about it. I find myself consciously thinking about it more on the golf course. Like, all right, do I need to try and rip this like 5-wood through these trees, or do I just punch one out 30 yards down, get myself out of tree trouble, and then try and hit one on after that? So obviously that's an easy error that a lot of people make, but there's so many other ones that you don't even like think about that. Like you said, 4 strokes is big. And I guarantee every single person after they finish up with their round is like, man, if I just didn't do that one thing on that hole or that one thing on that hole, like it adds up. And a lot of it's just dumb mistakes. And like you said, it's not physical all the time.
Yeah, you can tell the difference between somebody that just likes to go out and have fun and somebody that's really playing to get a good score. There's ones where you're behind a tree and you're like, 50% chance this goes through the tree, 50% chance I'm 15 yards back because I hit a tree. Don't be a hero. Just play the smart shot. Live to fight another day. You got to avoid those 8s or those 7s. Try to say bogey.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, getting into my second one here. This one also not super PT related. This doesn't have to be. We're a golf podcast, We like to golf. So my next one is, I noticed this not really for myself, but I thought about it more afterwards, is when I went down to Florida, my buddy Dom, what's up, bro? He's somebody that both of us kind of started playing more consistently at the same time. And when we were playing, I just felt he was, I'm not gonna lie to you, Dom, I'm sorry. He was lost down in Florida. Like he was lost. But what I was thinking about is like, he didn't have anything to fall back on. Like there was nothing, there's no swing mechanic. There's no like lesson that he had. There was just nothing that he could use to get himself just back into swing functionally and hitting the ball. There's a lot of shots out to the right. Just nothing was controllable. And it was a tough time for a couple of the rounds. And that's just what got me to thinking that whether you find it in a YouTube video, if you go to lessons with a pro, I feel like one of the biggest things other than getting your swing locked in is ask your pro, like, what can I do when I inevitably lose it on a golf course? Because like, we're not professionals. We're going to have days where we just like can't find the middle of the golf swing or the golf club in the face. So ask your pro, go on YouTube. What can you do to give yourself a technique that you can find yourself once you totally lose it and you're shanking balls left and right, or you're topping balls? What can you do to get yourself back on your game, swing functionally, and make sure you still have a good time? So that's one of the big things that I feel like I have a little bit more now. So like for me, thinking about how I'm swinging works a little bit more for me. Whether I'm coming up too high, or if I'm trying to make a particular swing, or if I'm trying to fade it or trying to kind of hook it a little bit more, I now have that feeling and I can think about it in my head, and that works for me. Other people, they can't think about it like that. You might need a metaphor or something like that from a YouTube video or a golf pro. I think just finding something that centers you again, allows you to have fun, hit golf shots functionally is super important.
Yeah. I've seen people that golf and they do that, you know, they just, it's a duck hook, or it's you know, it comes off the club just terribly. And they say, well, I'm just going to line up 30 yards to the right to avoid that duck hook, or to that's one of the worst things you can do, I think.
Mhm.
I mean, you're just perpetuating the problem, I think. So take a deep breath, take a few extra practice swings, just try to find that mojo.
Mhm.
It's tough when you go down for 5 days and golf 5 days in a row and you don't have it any of those days. But yeah, I've never been in that. Once I was in that situation, and I did exactly what you just said. I went to my golf pro, and two lessons later, it was completely fixed.
Yeah.
So if you can find any way to simplify your swing, that's, you got to simplify it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I was one of those people last year that I was playing a hook a lot, and it was like borderline duck hook every single time. And I just like played it. I'm like, okay, it's consistent, but it's not a super functional way to play golf. Like what happens when you got trees like closing in on your right? What are you going to do? Like you can't play that all the time. So now I have like good ways to set myself up. If I need to hit a draw, I can, and I'm confident doing it. Like there's one hole that I played today. Every single time I play it, I play a nice little draw, hit it off this hill, let it roll down in the fairway, and I could do it consistently every time. And if I need to fade it, I could pretty much fade it every single time, just with a couple little pre-shot routines that I'll do that really help me out. So ground yourself, find something that you can do to get yourself back onto that kind of swing plane that you need to be functional with, and get rolling.
Yeah, you just said something that you know, resonated with me, was the pre-shot routine. It's one of those really simple things that you just got to get in the routine of doing it, because it's going to make what you're doing more and more repeatable. We're all trying to repeat the same exact thing over and over. So do your pre-shot routine the same every time. When I golf by myself, I find myself losing that pre-shot routine. I think it makes a big difference when it comes time to actually hit that ball.
Yep, for sure. All right, what's your next one, bud?
Last one, playing with pain is doable. We've talked about this in the past, but the outcome is often poor. Again, we've talked about it. I lived it. I split wood. I chopped wood. I did it just like I took the axe into full extension and came down full flexion. You know, my back cracked the first few times because of just how much extension I got.
This is recently?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you
Saturday.
Do you have a wood burner?
No, I have a really nice like smokeless fire pit.
Oh, okay.
So I was splitting wood. Didn't think I was stupid. I mean, stupid PT move. You know, PTs are not the best at following our own instructions, but so the next day I golfed at 7 a.m, woke up pretty sore, no pain. It was really sore. And I was all over the place. I was inconsistent. Again, I didn't golf terribly. I shot a 42 in 9 holes. But it was just so inconsistent, because this is a game of millimeters. And if I didn't feel confident that I could keep my form, then something would go off and I'd hit it too far left. Or the next time I would I don't know, I'd pick up a little bit and I would hit it too far right. So yeah, you can certainly go out and play through pain. It's people have done it. I did it, but the outcome is, yeah, you see him do it all the time. But how was he prior to that Masters in 2019? the outcome's going to be poor. We're all playing a game of millimeters. If all of a sudden you hit it 1 millimeter towards the towards the toe of the club, stuff's going to happen that you can't predict. And then the next time you feel a little bit different, or you do something different to avoid that pain, because as much as we can all say, like, I have a really high pain tolerance, we're all trying to avoid pain. So your body's going to do something the slightest bit to avoid that painful stimulus. And you can play, but it's not going to be, the outcome's probably going to be poor.
Yeah.
So I lived it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with that is there's so much that goes into a golf swing. And if you have the most tiny little bit of something else on your mind that you are thinking about, like, okay, my back hurts a little bit. Is this going to hurt during the shot? And you're thinking about that. Honestly, I'll compare it to if you're kind of over near the woods and you have like a little branch like behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever that branch is behind me, I'm done. Like whether I'm going to hit it or not, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking about that branch, and then I'm either just going to duff it or top it. I can't think of anything else except that branch, and I'm done for. And I feel like that's the same kind of thing if I had any type of injury that was in my golf game. So say my back hurt, I'm like, okay, what's the swing going to feel like? Oh, a little practice swing. Okay, that was all right. And I'm still thinking about it and not really thinking about anything else. And then luckily I haven't had any injury problems. With golf or anything else, but I did football, but recently I haven't had any injury problems. So I don't want that to happen to me, but if it did, I feel like I'd be a head case.
Yeah. And I think, just personally speaking, I think I put it out of mind, but my body didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to not really focus on it, but after every shot, when something would go wrong, I would feel that what went wrong was because my body was just trying to avoid that position that was uncomfortable.
Gotcha.
And I wouldn't even call it pain. It was soreness. It was extreme soreness because of what I did, but I couldn't get my body to do what my mind wanted it to do.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of people dealing with that.
Absolutely. Hopefully you don't have to deal with it anymore. Me neither. Viewers, hopefully you don't have to deal with it either. Stay healthy. Warm up. See a PT. See us.
Chop wood smartly.
Yes. All right. And then for my last one, don't be afraid to try new things. Like, we're not going pro. You're probably not going pro.
How dare you?
I'm going pro right now. Better watch yourself. But so for instance, I'm doing new things with my swing. So changing up the grip a little bit, changing the swing plane a little bit to try and get a more kind of consistent ball flight every time. I'm getting close to doing that with mostly just a nice fade and not a ugly slice or a hook. I'm trying to focus really in on that fade. I'm getting close to it. Also, like, I feel like on the first show with you, I might have talked about putting being the best part of my game. Well, now I'm like off the planet, and now I switched to a claw grip. So now I'm a claw man, and actually sank like probably 8 to 10 foot putts today, which I had been having trouble with, and it feels good. I don't know if it's like a honeymoon thing, but now I'm a claw man for now.
Yeah, and take it a little bit further. If you're golfing a somewhat meaningless game where you're just playing by yourself and you might be taking a few extra shots just so that you can practice. Like, sometimes I'll take a shot and I'm not really happy with the outcome, but I like the shot. I like the setup I'm at. I want to give it a few more tries because I'm probably going to be in this situation again. Play a few different things. I've had a few shots around the green where I'll take my 56 degree, I'll take my 52 degree, I'll even take like my 7-iron, see what the bump and run looks like. Don't be afraid to experiment. You might find something that works for you. I have this like 10-year-old fairway iron that all of a sudden I decided to try hitting punch shots with, and it comes out a lot harder than it does with my 4-iron, and it's a little bit straighter. So I might start playing that moving forward, but I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't experimented and practiced with that.
Yeah. I feel like most rounds we play are going to be, at least for me anyway, it's a lot of by myself, like after work, and it's going to be quite a few with my friends. And then besides that, there's going to be obviously a league play that I'm in now, and then just some probably tournaments I'm going to enter too. So most of the time you have plenty of chances to just try out new stuff. You're going to be messing around with your friends. having a good time. You're like, all right, like, let's see how I do. Like you said, try and hit this punch out with a club I never use. Like, how's that going to go? Same thing if you're by yourself, nobody else is really on the course, you're playing at 7 a.m. Try a couple different shots. Try and play it a couple different ways, see how it goes. And like I said, most of the rounds you play, regardless of whether you're playing in a tournament or not, that's probably not going to matter. We're not pros. But then even more after that, you're messing around having a good time. So why not just practice some stuff?
Yeah.
Try
There's
new
times
things.
where you're playing by yourself and you blow a big slice off the tee, and you're like, screw that, I'm not playing that ball. And you hit a drive down the middle of the fairway and play that ball. Go play that one that you blew into the number 3 fairway and you're playing on number 1. Go play it and see how you would get yourself out of trouble. So that when you can't hit a second shot, you know what to do. You know how to recover from something. So don't be afraid to try to recover from failure.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's our 3 kind of what did we learn kind of stuff. That, like I said, we talk a lot about injuries on this podcast, but overall, we're a golf podcast. We want to help you guys out in any way we can, whether it be injury related or just helping you with your game. Obviously, we're not swing coaches, so we can't help you out a ton with that, but we'll give you some tips on other ways you can save strokes in your game. And I think definitely brought some good stuff to the show today.
Yeah, hit us up on Twitter if you have any other ideas, stuff that you think about in your own game that we can share with the listeners. We talked about next show being about the low back. Finally, again, this might go into 2 different shows just with how expansive it is. I think maybe the first show we'll talk about low back pain in the general population, and then move it forward into golfers. We might even do a case study, Tiger, and talk about, how can you prevent low back pain, how can you manage low back pain, and how can you recover from low back pain.
Yeah, sounds perfect. And yeah, like you said, for all the listeners, feel free to reach out to us. Like we said, we want to help you out with your game. So whether it be some tips on how to save some strokes just by strategically, or you have some type of nagging injury, reach out to us on Twitter. Send us a DM, follow us, any of that kind of stuff. We'll help you out. So yeah. Anything else you got?
No, sounds good, man. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Also, remember you can watch us on YouTube, which is cool. So go for that. And we will see you next time, guys. All right. Peace.
Later.